Right, Beach Balls?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey guys, welcome to our second movie review. I'm here as always with my main man, The Rob. Today we're going to be talking about the 1975 classic directed by Steven Spielberg, Jaws, starring Robert Shaw, Roy Schneider, and what's Matt Hooper's real name? Richard Dreyfuss, that's it. So do you want to take it away, Rob? Because obviously you've watched this film, this was my second time watching it. You've watched this film quite a few times, like you said, didn't you?
I mean, to be a total nerd, the my number 5
Okay.
one of the greatest films ever made, so I do rewatch it quite often. It does come back a lot.
The reason I've only ever watched it twice now is because I loved it that much the first time. I didn't want to sully it, if that makes sense.
When did you first watch it?
How long ago?
How
I watched it when I was a teenager. I'm 26 now. Let's say 10 years. Yeah, but I was probably younger.
Yeah,
I'd say probably about 14. So say
I was in and
12 years.
I was in and out of watching that movie for the first few times I watched it because I was a bit young, and sharks, generally Jaws does exactly what it says on the tin. Basically, it scares the hell out of you and the water and the sea. We live on the coast, and over the years, especially when I was a kid, dipping my foot in the sea is a different experience after watching Jaws.
You always get that one person as well when you put your foot in, they go durna, and you're like, stop it.
It has made that's what a great movie does. It puts an impact on pop culture.
Yeah,
Jaws affected the world.
Yeah,
and this is a big movie, and it was a $9 million budget. Went on to make nearly 500 million, just under 500 million.
How much went? I didn't realise they had that little to spend on it. I thought it was a higher budget film than that.
No, I mean Spielberg had only really made. So he did Jewel for TV.
Okay.
He went on to make The Sugarland Express, but Jaws was a much lower budget and than you would expect now.
How many Oscars did Jaws win? It won Oscars.
I'm going to say it did. Which ones they were, I could not tell you. But no. I think with Jaws is that... so again, obviously, it was what brought Spielberg to the masses.
Yeah.
And again, it was... They say that Jaws was the first summer blockbuster.
Okay.
That's what started it.
That's a cool title to have, right?
Yeah, because I mean, Jaws sort of set off the trend of merchandise. Obviously, years later, Star Wars came out, and that obviously took merchandise to a whole new level. But I don't think Jaws was the first of its kind. I'm sure it wasn't. But
did Jaws come out before Star Wars?
Yeah, 77.
Oh, really?
Star Wars.
Oh, I didn't. I thought Star Wars was early 70s.
No, it was. I think it was in pre-production for a long time before they actually got it made. But when you watch Jaws, it always takes you back to a time when you were a kid and sort of reminds you of all the fear that was experienced watching the film. Because the movie does, it sort of sets all of their. It's all about fear, and it's all about Roy Scheider, who has a problem with the water. You've got Robert Shaw, who plays Quint.
Who has two amazing speeches in that film.
Exactly.
About the Indianapolis, and then the one where he screeches down the board as well. I need $10,000. I don't know why I was a pirate then, I just went for it.
Well, he is like a pirate, isn't he? That's the kind of character he is. But I remember watching Jaws, and when I saw it, and on the rewatch, and the nails down the chalkboard still get to you, and that's Spielberg again working on your fears. I think it's like a little, that's what the movie is sort of based on. And Peter Benchley, who wrote the book, because the Jaws is based on a book.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's in the film. There's a scene now. It's the beach scene after the Alex Kinter death.
The Lilo kid.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the beach scene after that where. It's where his son passes out. Is it Sean, is it? Or Michael passes out in the water. But beforehand, I think it's the 4th of July weekend.
Yep.
And on that...
the one where everyone's too afraid to go in the water, and then the mayor, who's a dick, tells them all to go in. He gets that one guy and his family to go in, doesn't he?
He goes, get in the water.
Yeah.
Why are you not swimming?
There, Larry Vaughan. What a guy.
And he basically says, and so during that scene, a man comes on the screen, and he's a reporter, a journalist, and he talks about what's happened recently with the shark attacks, and then he says, that all eyes are on Amity, basically, on the island. And that's Peter Benchley.
Okay.
And
I didn't know that.
He's got that little...
Plus, I didn't know it was a book, so I wouldn't have known that was
the book is very... I think the book is quite different to the film. I've not read it, but there is a lot of differences, I believe.
Right.
a bit more deeper, I think.
Okay.
Things like that. But when you watch Jaws, again, I still find something different with it every time. And I've seen it possibly, I can't think how many times I've watched it, more than I can remember.
Do you watch it at least once a year?
Yeah, I'd say it definitely goes on. Maybe, like, I'd say if it's on TV, at any point in the movie, I will watch it. And like I won't like. There's a lot of films you sort of you're switching through channels, and you sometimes think to yourself, no. But if Jaws is on, whatever scene it's on, I will carry on watching.
Right, you got a lot of love for it, then.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I can't even explain why I like it so much because it's not the kind of film that I would say it is a horror film because.
Well, Steven Spielberg doesn't like it being called a horror film, does he?
What else do we call it though? Drama?
Thriller? But I would say it's definitely a horror, especially a bit, again, like a minute ago, the kid being eaten by Lilo. Oh my God, that scene is horrible. When the mum's crying and it washes up and you're like, wow.
And that scene is even worse. I'm sure when that movie came out, I'm sure it was a PG. I think it was a 15.
Wow.
But I don't know that for 100%. But like I say, this film, for what it shows, the contents, is a lot stronger than you would think any other film of like this era would get away with.
Yeah.
And it's a bit, like, for me, a bit too much, I think. And but it works perfectly. And it really does set the movie up because you're thinking to yourself, this movie is serious because, it's not just killing adults. No one's safe from the
Well, I said that to my wife as soon as, because obviously the girl, again, she's meant to be a teenager, isn't she? Susie is her name?
Susie, yeah.
Yeah, and, from the get-go,
is it Susie or Chrissy?
Might be Chrissy, isn't it? Yeah, Chrissy. A film isn't messing about when they'll knock a kid off straight away. Do you know what I mean? Like the kid, as soon as that teenager dies, no one's safe from the shark.
That was what I sort of was great about it. Because
Georgie.
Yeah. Because in the miniseries, which I do really, I love the miniseries.
Yeah, just get Tim Curry running at someone under a blanket.
But the Georgie death scene in the new It was much more stronger, I thought. Much more powerful. Like in the Tim Curry version, he's just pulling him in. Where in this film, you see his arm off, and that is quite strong.
But the blood's squirting into the water and that, isn't it?
I think, since we've become dads, I don't know about yourself, Chad, but I think I find scenes like that very hard to watch.
Yes,
and I was straight away watching Alex Kintner die in Jaws. I straight away thought of my son. And I felt the pain of Mrs. Kintner in it.
Oh, yeah, well, obviously she blames Roy Schneider's character, doesn't she?
Yeah, because, I completely get it, because, Roy Schneider, he is a weak character. He tries his best.
But obviously, again, Mel Harry Vaughan, massive dick. Yeah. He's worried about the money going into the town, isn't he? That's all he's worried about the profit margin.
Onto Sheriff Brody is it's strong. He can be sort of talked around, and that's the problem you see because he wants to do everything he wants to do is the right thing to do. Right thing to do.
Because straight away he's like, beaches shut down. Yeah, isn't he? That's what he wants to do straight away.
Yeah, he goes into a little hardware store. He gets the wooden planks. He says,
gives it to the deputy, doesn't he?
He's got the paint. He says, right, all closed. And straight away, he's got all the influence of the town, the mayor, the councillors, the local shop owners.
Even the coroner lies, doesn't he? Saying it's not a shark attack.
Exactly.
She got hit by the boat propeller.
Yeah, he even says to him, he says, are you willing to change your statement? He goes, I will change it. They don't do anything because the movie, again, it deals with a bit of greed, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, like I say, Roy Schneider wants to do the thing that we all should do in moments like this. But you've got these people who are just doing it because it's all about the money. And I think that was something that I picked up on more in this watch, which I haven't done in the past for some reason. I don't know why, but I think as I'm getting older, you just notice things with politicians. You just know how, we're all fucked over, basically. And
the show just got political for a minute there, Rob.
But it's true, isn't it? There was a lot of corruption in the world.
Oh, definitely.
This is basically Spielberg showing you the corruption in that world.
Yeah. It's kind of the thing where it's like, it doesn't matter how small the place is, there'll always be higher-ups, officials out there will try and make their profit margins and stuff like that.
And the issue is that, sadly, that, no life is worth that. Just because obviously, I think Mayor Vaughan says in the movie that we're all going to be living on welfare if we carry on the way we are. And even in the scene after Alex Kintner dies, and this is where we get to meet Quint for the first time.
Yes.
So they announce that I think one of the local owners of the shop says, "Are you closing the beaches?" And Roy Scheider says, "Yes."
Only for 24 hours.
Only for 24 hours, straight away, because that wasn't part of the plan. Because obviously Sheriff Brody's like,
you didn't tell me that.
That. Because straight away, the mayor knows they can't handle that. They can't handle it.
No.
Because they know it's all about making the money. And this kid has just died, and the sort of,
But at this point, there's two people died, Chrissy, and then the kid. You'd think,
yeah, and
because that's when he calls him Matt Hopper, isn't it?
Yeah,
But
Richard Dreyfuss.
Richard Dreyfuss. I always forget his name.
Well, he comes in. Obviously, he's like doing the marine biology.
Yes, yeah.
Character.
Very funny character.
Oh yeah,
as well. Very funny character.
He definitely he brings a bit of light to it.
Yeah.
Because you've got Roy Schneider as Adrian Brody, who is
Robert Shaw is a miserable SOB.
He is like a proper like a captain of obviously.
But he's drunk all the time. Well,
yeah, he's just that he's a real man, isn't he?
Yes,
sort of thing,
yeah.
And he won't.
What's that bit where Brody tries to call him back up and he smashes the radio with the bat because he's like, "I'm killing this fish."
Because he says to Brody, and do you know what? I was kind of again, it put me in the movie a little bit because when he says because Brody clearly wants to not be there.
Yeah, well, he's afraid of water, isn't he?
Yeah. So the last half of the movie, because there's two movies really, because the first hour.
It's a detective movie, find out what's happening.
Well, it's all going on, isn't it,
Yeah.
basically? And there's all this stuff going on in the town and the beaches. Everyone's afraid to go in the water. You've got Ben Gardner's head coming out of a bloody boat. And then later on in the movie...
Great scene.
Oh, yeah.
Great scene.
Yeah. That is the ultimate horror scene in the movie.
That's got to be one of the first jump scares as well, right?
For me, I don't remember watching that scene in the movie as a kid. Now, I got off any feeling my parents probably skipped past it.
Okay.
Fast forwarded it on the video remote. But as I watched it on DVD, it certainly hit me. I think I remembered something about it, but I think I might have seen stills and magazines.
Yeah.
But I do not remember it being so scary.
Because it's like loud violin noise, isn't it? What happens?
Yeah.
Like, oh, bloody hell.
The eyes are popping out.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
You can see the maggots are starting to get to him and things like... It's just a horrible scene. And... So Spielberg never holds back on... I mean, and in many ways, because obviously it's legendary that Bruce the Shark was broken throughout the entire production.
Yeah, that's why you don't see it as much, because
Exactly.
he wanted you to see it more, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Jaws would have had the same effect if
Not
you saw
all.
it more.
I think that takes the film from being... I think if you've seen that shark, it wouldn't be anywhere as good as it is.
No.
I think that's what I'm trying to say, yeah?
No, I think not knowing and not seeing is perfect.
Yeah.
Especially when... I didn't realise... I noticed it on this watch. I think it's 1 hour and 20 minutes until Roy Scheider comes actually face-to-face with the shark.
Is that when he's thrown the chum in?
Yeah.
And you're going to need a bigger boat.
Exactly, yeah. I think that's why that scene probably now obviously makes sense and why it's so iconic, because there's a scene in the movie when obviously when Alex Kinter dies, you don't really see what's going on. You sort of see him he's under you can see he's under what's that word just used? He's in a bad way basically. You can see he's struggling in the water, and his little boat thing is tipping over. Well, what's it called?
A lilo.
The lilo is tipping over, and the blood streaming everywhere, and the people are screaming. And Brody can't really see what's going on, but he knows something's going on, so he's getting everyone out the water. And then later on in the movie, when on the 4th of July scene, when the shark is going towards where Michael is.
Because he's on the boat with his mates, isn't he?
Yeah, well, there's a scene where Brody is running across over a bridge, and the shark's going this way. So he's not really seeing... he's not really seeing the shark for the first time. And that scene, to be fair... If you want to see a shark, you don't want to be seeing it that close like he does in the movie. No wonder he was like, you're going to need a bigger boat, because I would be terrified seeing a fish that close.
Because he's mumbling to himself because he wanted to drive the boat, didn't he? And not have to throw the chum overboard.
That's right.
But Quint goes, no, Matt drives the boat, you throw the chum kind of thing.
Because, again, it's like, I don't want to be any closer to this thing than I have to be. And again, the water is a problem for him. And it's just, I can't describe, how important the movie is, really, because I think a lot of people have taken what they can from Jaws over the years, and more to the horror. I mean, Godzilla, when that came out, the new version in 2014, I thought that was very similar in how they sort of presented Godzilla to the audience. He never really appears properly.
Yeah,
you see him in little clips, but it's not until really the end you see Godzilla in action, like you don't like with Jaws. You don't really see the shark in action until the end. And so for me, not seeing the shark work perfectly was the best thing that could have happened to the film.
I really, really enjoyed the chemistry between Matt and Robert Shaw's character. Quint.
Yeah.
Just how they go from obviously he's all about science and he's like, I'm just going to stab the shark in the face, and then when they get drunk they start singing "Show Me the Way to Go Home," and that bit I think's really nice because you know something bad's about to happen because they're singing and you're like. And then obviously Brody joins in, and you're like, oh no, they're going to be fine. And then next thing you know,
do you think it was the way Quint wanted to go?
yes.
I think so as well.
Well, for me, again, the Indianapolis, is that the boat he was on? That's a true story, isn't it? That's a real boat where the people got eaten by so many sharks over so many days.
Well, weirdly enough, it's about, because the ship was coming back from Hiroshima.
Yes,
Just after, and obviously in movie terms, Hiroshima had a lot to play with Godzilla.
Yes, yeah.
And obviously not connecting the two, I'm just making a But I think the scene, like you say, before the Indianapolis speech was very important, and
because Quint's death in that film has got to be one of the greatest movie deaths ever. Because how badass is it? He's getting eaten by this shark that's 25 foot, they say, and he's stabbing it in the face with a machete.
Yeah,
and it's just one of them. It's like, I'm just like, do you know what I mean?
It is all, isn't it? Because he knows. I mean, I think Quint knows. It's like a suicide mission.
Well, that's when, after he like smashes the radio, there's that bit where he puts his clothes on and his bandana, he sits there having the smoke on the boat, and you can kind of tell by Robert Shaw's facial expressions, he's like, I'm going down with my shit, basically.
Yeah, that's a proper sea captain thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's like, listen, you guys can try and swim. He's like, but I'm going down with my shit.
And I think the Indianapolis speech also shows, the vulnerability and of his character.
He's got PTSD.
Yeah, and I think he's someone who's never sort of like got over the fact that he was a survivor of it.
Well, that's the whole thing, isn't it? Like, his whole life is him murdering sharks because he's trying to sort of like there's that bit where he goes, oh, my friend, I've known him years, kind of thing, and I went to speak to him, and he was bit in half, wasn't he? Exactly. And there's that bit, when you're watching that, it's kind of like, you feel like Robert Shaw actually went through that. You feel like it isn't acting, but it is.
It feels like literally like you're in a pub somewhere and someone's telling you a story and it's actually fully true.
Yeah, 100%.
No, I totally agree with that. Have you seen the sequels?
No, you have given me the sequels though.
Jaws 2 is an excellent film.
But Roy Schneider didn't want to be in that film, did
he? He was contracted to it, basically. I think he realised, look, if I make this movie, I'm free.
Yeah.
And to be fair, it's actually a very good film.
Is there Richard Dreyfuss character appearing in it?
No, it never appears
again. That's weird.
But you've still got his wife, Ellen, played by Lorraine Gray.
I know that the fourth one, is it? Michael Caine's in it, and the shark follows him to the Bahamas. I only ever hear bad things about the fourth one. I've never heard anything too bad about the first.
Even the fourth one, if you can see past how ridiculous the fact that is, like I say, that now obviously the burden of the shark is no longer on Brody's shoulders because Brody is dead by this time.
Okay. Does he die in the second one?
No.
Oh, he just dies off screen.
You've never seen that.
Okay.
But Lorraine Gray, Ellen, his wife, she does say that, the shark was always with him until his death.
Okay.
She says, basically that it killed him and it killed the dad.
Okay.
Now she reflects on the thought that basically that the shark killed him, even though I don't think he was ever killed by a shark.
Right.
I just think she knows that basically that he never got over it.
The PTSD of the shark sort of thing.
Yes, very much so.
The demons.
Yeah, and I think, and like I said, that's quite a deep way of looking at it, because you don't get to see it. But when you really do think about it, if you're a film fan like ourselves, you will think about things like that. I think, you know what, he would have that.
Yeah.
Because he saw Quint die right in front of him.
And it's horrific.
And there's a scene in the movie during his death scene where he's literally being snapped in two. The shark's mouth closes, and you sort of hear like this little noise, and then you see suddenly the blood spurting out of Quint's mouth.
Yeah.
And straight away you know that's him just getting completely torn apart. And that, for me, is like, that is Spielberg, at his rawest. He's not holding back. He's going hell for leather on that scene, and it's perfect. Yeah. And that's why it's so legendary. That's why the film, probably why it's his greatest film, because Spielberg, without a budget. I mean, he had probably a decent budget to get the film done, but he had less than he had for, say, Raiders of the Lost Ark, E.T. And look what he created.
Let's talk about the ending.
Okay.
How do you feel about the ending? Do you like, because obviously that's the bit like, I like the foreshadowing of the canisters because that bit where they fall over and he's like, well, don't worry, they'll blow up if you do that. Yeah. And obviously, Brody, from what I can gather, because he's got a bullet wound there and he lifts his top up at one point.
It's the part when they're showing the scars, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, and and the bit where Matt is like, you know what this is?
Broken
heart. I love that bit. Such a funny bit. But yeah, there's the bit, obviously the shark bites the canister and then Brody's got like, I think it's an M1 Grand. I don't know why I know that.
Wow, use some other.
Brilliant. Yeah. That one, what's the word, like a line, he says, The one line, that one line that you spice something out of 10, how many bloody flippers are you going to give it?
Bloody flippers, right, okay. I will say 10.
10 bloody flippers out of 10?
It's a perfect film. It really is.
Okay.
I think any film in my top 10 movies are top 10 out of 10.
Can you say one bad thing about the film? Is there one thing you could change about Jaws?
Credit sequence.
Okay.
Literally, they sort of like get onto like some wood plank, isn't it? And then they sort of get the two
It's the barrels, isn't it? They start paddling.
And they're paddling. And I think if they just did a Fade to Black, that's perfect. But then they went to the beach, and then you could see them from afar, like sort of coming into land.
Yeah.
And then the credit sequence was coming up. I wish that never happened.
Okay.
But that was because it was a film from the 70s. That was how films were sort of done. You know, the credit sequences that we see now, which are a bit more. Credit sequences are like sometimes like a twist, or like, you know, they end the movie dead like abruptly sort of thing. It's more of a thing now than it was then. So I sort of understand why it was like that. But for me, I would have preferred if they just fade to black and then it said directed by Steven Spielberg. For me, that would have been Spielberg saying a statement.
Yeah.
Saying, I've just showed you this movie. I'm Steven Spielberg. And look, and you basically, I'm going to show you how to make movies.
Very nice.
That's how I would have sort of done it. But then again, I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think Spielberg is like an egotistical person. That's not how he's ever come across to me.
Well, if you'd watched our director's podcast, you'll know how Rob feels about Spielberg.
Big fan. But flawed in his later years, I believe.
Crystal Skull, shy. Yeah, so I'll give it 8.5 bloody flippers. 8.5. It's the best shark film.
What is it? What scene did you not like?
I didn't like his kids annoyed me. And I think if Brody didn't have any children, I'd like it more.
One of my favourite scenes in the movie was when it was after the Alex Kinter death, and Brody's at the table, and his son Sean comes up, and he's basically just mimicking everything he's doing. And I think it's a lovely scene. I think it's a really like between father and son sort of thing, and it sort of levels.
I've got about that scene. I'd keep that scene in, but that's the only scene I'd want to see as kids. Oh, another bit that I thought was too slapsticky for the film: the two kids with the fins on the back.
Oh right, yes.
I think
me do it.
Yeah, I think it's a very too slapsticky for that film. Okay, yeah. I feel like it was a cheap laugh.
Okay.
And I'll change that. But yeah, 8.5 bloody flippers out of 10. So yeah, that was our review on Jaws. Let us know what you think of Jaws and let you know if we got it right. And yeah, let us know in the comments underneath what you want us to review next. And thanks for watching, guys. Yeet.